schedule as well, so you know when all your favorite teams are going to be competing here at the CWL Atlanta Open. Here's a brief look. We're kicking things off with Optic Gaming versus Panda. Then, of course, Luminosity versus Imperial. Rise versus Mindfreak will follow. And we're going to see Mindfreak back-to-back because, as we said, they're in that horrible Pool A. Really, their fate is on their shoulders. Can the Australians come out and find their way into that winner's bracket? They're going to take on Infused at 6:30. Then, of course, we have our championship winners round 1 matchups at 8:30. That's going to be MLG Prime Time. And for the first time in, I believe, MLG history, we're going to see every single winner's bracket game. Every single one will be on stream. So you're not going to miss out on any of the action. It is going to be fantastic. But, of course, we should talk a little bit about individual players' performances yesterday. This is something which I'm super excited about. We're going all out here in Atlanta. We have some fantastic stats looking at players in hardpoint specifically. Was there anyone kind of caught your eye yesterday, just off your mind? I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, when I watched Envy, Slasher was kind of, you know, bossing it, but then obviously had a bit of a disappointing 1-4 versus United. You know, you find him there. That's just one off the top of my head. He finds himself in 8th place, but... There's your leaderboard, and Green Wall, they're sitting pretty in that leaderboard, let's put it that way. Krim, Scump, and Formal all find themselves in that top 5. Karma, he's down there in 7th as well. I mean, Merc, when you're slaying like that, you're going to be winning all your hard points now. I mean, that's pretty good, and that's what we've always talked about, which is so scary about this roster, is all of them can be the best player on any single team, and it just shows off these stats that these guys are some of the best in the world. See General sneaking in there for E6 as well. He finds himself in 10th. Slasher and Apathy from Team Envious, they're in there as well. Saints as well, he finds his chance. Anything interesting?
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things is the 5 defend average from Formal. So the guy that you think normally is not going to be playing inside the hill, he's going to be that anchor role, so to speak. But you see when he's in there, he's getting the job done. So those are the most important gunfights. When you're in the hill, if you're staying alive, you're just buying more and more time for your team. And apparently Formal reigns king.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to say is, you know, Saints has impressed me for years upon years of his slaying ability, but it just seems to sometimes when it goes into, you know, your Championship Sunday, you know, tough opponents, he does not have those same numbers. And for me, I want to see him bring those numbers. I want to see him kind of slaying out his mind, because back in the day, he was a player that kind of could take a team down on his own. So I hope he keeps those numbers up.
And just for a stat, so far, they haven't lost a hardpoint. They're 100% hardpoint ratio. But the big difference for me from Vegas to Atlanta has been their search and destroy. They finished Vegas with a 25% win-loss ratio in search and destroy specifically. Currently, they're sitting at 100%. Here's a couple of digits for you. I want you to dissect these. Formal had a 1.39. Okay, just specifically S&D KD back in Vegas. He's at a 1.25, so a little bit of a drop-off, but this is where it gets interesting. Scump with a 1.0, he now has a 1.27. Karma with a 0.8, he now has a 1.0. Krim with a 0.62 now sits at a 1.26, a huge leap from him. I mean, what is the big difference so far?
I mean, it's just got to come down to practice, right, and teamwork going into this tournament. I mean, sort of Vegas, nobody really knew how this Optic Gaming team was going to perform. You could tell that they just weren't into the game after sort of that loss at Champs last year. It took them a lot to get back into it, but like we've talked about here at the desk, I mean, they've put in so much time and preparation coming into this event, and that's what you want to see from all these guys.
Absolutely. I believe game number 1 is about to get underway. As I said, we have Optic Gaming versus Panda. We can send it out to our casters for the game. It's Maven and TP.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so Teep, I casted the match last night, actually, which is Optic versus Splice. Going in, their stats were absurd. Splice really did nothing to slow this team down. Who's going to be able to, if anyone?
They're looking damn good, to be honest with you, Maven. And Panda's coming into this one. Yes, they're going to have some momentum from that open bracket, but, you know, you just saw those hardpoint stats.
Yeah.
Top Optics in 4 of the top 10.
Yeah.
And you have to note on Scump and Formal's hardpoint time as well. Chance touched on the defense from Formal, but the time from these two guys, you really expect the 2 players in Krim and Karma to be picking up those time. But it's a little bit opposite this time around.
90 seconds, I think we saw for Formal. Now, I had the chance. I was wondering about, you know, kind of Panda's chances in this one. Is obviously it's going to be a difficult match. And I was talking to Slacked and Octane in the back, just trying to get some, you know, one of the things is casters like to talk to the players, get outside opinions from other teams on the guys. And they said they think they are the best search and destroy team when you're talking about amateur team.
Okay.
The way they've been, you know, they were talking about how they smoked United 6-0 in a 2K. They beat Luminosity 6-1 in a search and destroy. He's like, I couldn't put my finger on what they were doing right, but they were crushing teams in search. That game 2 is likely where they have to get it done.
From my experience as a player as well, it is these sort of less known teams that can surprise you a bit when it comes to those search and destroy. Some different strategies going on. We saw, well, however, Cloud9 did not do too well yesterday. They implemented some different strategies on Scorch, especially when it comes to smoking using thermal AR. So there are things you can do against these top tier pro teams that they're not going to expect for sure. Are we going to see that here? I'm not sure, but you know, if there is a map that Panda could take, it's got to be search and destroy, right? I do not think they have a chance in the respawn.
Yeah, and this match, okay, maybe not as important for Optic as they're sitting atop at 3-0, but it is when you talk about Panda, because they have a chance to disrupt here, and you can say that for just about any of the pools. Yes, Splice is sitting at 2-1, but Panda can come in here. They can get some wins, especially the matchup with Splice is going to be very, very important, but maybe they have a chance to disrupt. I know, thinking back to Black Ops 3 with this particular organization, I know a very different roster. I think Fastball, the one consistency kind of throughout, but they shocked people. They were the up-and-comers last year. I hadn't really heard of the organization. They start coming on our radar pretty much throughout Black Ops 3, and now they seem to be just contenders to stay, that you're going to see flirting with that top 16, top 24 area. I know when you're talking about the recent 2Ks, I believe in the past 3, they've had 2 top 8s, so that's really, really strong, and I know people like to say onliners, blah, 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 but after seeing how E-United kicked off day 1, it's kind of, I think people are starting to realize, usually if you do well online, that's going to carry over to LAN in some capacity.
Yeah, for sure. E-United obviously playing absolutely dominant online, so not sure what to expect from Panda coming into this pool. It is a tough one. It seems like Optic and Splice really have those top 1 and 2 spots locked down, but you can make some noise here. They should anyway, yes.
But Panda, I mean, if you sneak a win here, if you're able to take out Optic Gaming, all of a sudden, if you're Splice, you're looking over your shoulder, right, and you're wondering what is possibly to come. But you'll see the shots of both squads here as we're getting locked in. In Optic, I mean, it's kind of tough to even pinpoint who was your maybe MVP of day 1, who was your all-star, because the stats were consistently. I know I was highlighting before Splice. Formal kind of stood out to me because he had like a 1-5 and a respawn, 1-3 in S&D. But now that the Splice series has gone underway, they're all just sitting pretty. I mean, they're pretty much similar across the board.
Yeah, and that's something that was, I guess, is a little bit different compared to Vegas. Scump didn't have the best of tournaments. We gave him some flack at Vegas, but obviously
he'll admit that too.
Yeah, exactly. He was not, happy with his performance, to say the least. So they've obviously put in the work. They put in a lot of practice. Been watching a lot of their streams, especially throughout the 2Ks and stuff. So seems like they have that Optic confidence back, which is cool to see. One thing I have to note on, though, is looking back at Vegas, the open bracket team that came into their pool and wiped the floor with them was E6 at the time. Yes, different meta. The OSA came into play and really caught Optic off guard, but it was that open bracket team that came through and stormed the pool. It's possible.
Well, I'm kind of curious. I can't remember who said it. I want to say it was... God, it was one of the amateur teams, but they were speaking, I believe, with Jack, and they had this line saying they used to be this. You looked at them as like this final boss, right? They were this formidable opponent,
right?
But you saw now they're vulnerable. You saw you could beat them. Like, I almost want to compare it to like kind of Tiger Woods in his prime, where he would get into, there's 1 or 2 people in contention maybe down the stretch, the final couple holes. But if you knew you were playing against Tiger, like, you'd see these guys cripple, and Tiger's always clutched. They always came up big. But now that you've seen like Optic look a little bit vulnerable over the past 6 months without getting a victory, maybe you're opening the door for some of these other teams to make runs against Optic Gaming. But speaking of Optic, let's check out this video of Scump.
Without question, the biggest player on the planet.
Now it's Scump in the 1 versus 2. Fletcher coming in from Rock. Gets 1. Second player is there. Scump gets both. The 3-0 sweep. He always does it. Knows there's a second player. Here's the 9-step form. Scump kills all 3. When he is on point, Optic Gaming are a completely different team. The king has come to life. Scump wipes out all of FaZe.
Scumpy's there, and there it is. Optic Gaming has done it. Scump is game. He has that raw talent, that ability where he can go off and take over a game.
If he has a good run here in Infinite Warfare, he could go down as the greatest Call of Duty player of all time. Scump is an extremely aggressive submachine gun player. The thing that makes Scump so special with his play is he plays at such a fast pace. But when you really break it down and watch what he does, he's always pre-aimed in, which is a little bit more of a slower player's tactic, but he's always able to just snap on players, pick up those fast kills, makes Scump's gameplay so crazy to watch.
Scump has been one of the top Call of Duty players since he began his career, but it's no secret that the one thing he's missing is that elusive Call of Duty championship victory. The guy's basically won everything else. That is what his sights are on in Infinite Warfare. Can he do it? We'll have to find out.
And maybe this is the year the Green Wall can get it done, bring home that championship. You know, they're so used to basically winning everything up to that, at least over the past couple of years, and then sort of falling short. Maybe the slow start here this year, it'll get the gears turning, maybe turn them on try-hard mode a little bit earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to think maybe it's just an overconfidence thing going into champion in the COD champs for each year. They've been the sort of heavy favorite going into both of them, just coming out a little bit short. So maybe this short start to the year, a bit of a reality check for them. They got to put in the time. They're not as top dogs as they were in the past, basically.
All right, well,
guys, this is kRaZ-e DVRJ. Yeah, man, check out this Scump player, man. I'm telling you, he's sick. Yeah, big up Scump, man, if you ever see this on YouTube, man. But you're sick, bruv. Keep it up, man.
After seeing the stats, I mean, there's no way it doesn't. But is there something about this map that maybe Panda, something they could abuse, something you give them a chance in?
Optic's just been playing such a good team game, and that shows in their KDs. It's not like one player is completely taking over in the stat.
I'm making you dig for something here, buddy.
It's really tough. I don't think Panda has much of a chance. Really, you have to go for, I guess, the quote-unquote money hills. Rotate very early for those ones to get the sort of easy setups. Second hard point especially is
Turbine.
Yeah, something that's a little bit easier for them to hold, because on those a bit more scrappy hills, Optic's going to get the better of you for sure.
You would think, and that's how it's going to start off. We kick it off on the bridge. That is scrappy. That's going to come down, just kind of keep your head on a swivel. Gunfight after gunfight, somewhere that you think Optic Gaming will surely excel. We'll keep an eye, though, on who's going to be able to get kind of the left side of your mini-map covered for the setup for Turbine there going into the second. Is that one where we'll see teams kind of lock down 40 to 60 seconds. You can really get a big swing in your favor. But, guys, we are 10 seconds out from hopping into our Game 1. Optic Gaming going against Panda. We'll see if Panda can make some noise here in Pool A.
Starting off here on the king himself, Scumpy. They need to start to get some momentum. They're trying to get into this bracket play later on in the day, and they want this championship here at Atlanta. We're starting off Saturday here. Some big gunfights going back and forth, but Forma with a double nade and the triple for him. Starting off early in this one for 3 early kills. Optic has control.
I mean, that's big, too, because he's the only one that survives, right? You see 3 go down for either team. It's just going to be Formal that remains. And the 3 streak going to be starting out nicely for him. But this is interesting, too, because you got to think, if you had such a nice day one, maybe you come out a little bit overconfident. You come out with a slow start here. That's the last thing you want if you're Optic. You need to come in, just destroy your opponent, keep the rhythm going that you've had. And so far, it's starting out very nicely there. It's at the 5-0 start for Formal before he ultimately drops. And when you're taking a look at the scoreboard, it's nothing but green.
Yeah, it looks like Fastball going to be trying to run in with that E-Red right there. Surprisingly, Scump has not decided to pull that out at all throughout the entire tournament, but I guess he's just more comfortable with that K-bar a little bit more. Gives you that advantage at all sorts of range.
I talked to him about it yesterday, actually. He came out and kind of hung out in the green room with the casters for a little bit, and yeah, he said he's just not comfortable with it. He likes the K-bar more. It's all it came down to, and it shocks me because now that the E-Rad's definitely more relevant in the current meta. You keep waiting for the best SMG player of all time to pull it out, but hey, he's been rocking it with the K-Bar, and we'll see if he can continue to do it. But it has to be eyes now back on Formal as he started out 7-1. We'll see if he can keep the rhythm going. A tough gunfight there to pick one off. Scump there will find the final kill, as this is the huge one. This is Turbine. This is where you want to get set up, and now look at it. Optic going to be spawning out. You see yellow all on the left side of the map. This is where they can pull the comeback, and we may very well see a lead change.
Yeah, it was sort of a weird setup for Optic there. Had 2 players set up towards that laboratory area, up towards that top hallway, but it didn't matter for Panda. They grouped up, went through the bottom, and were able to break. And the Turbine Hills, where I said they need to get the majority of their time if they have a chance in this one, they do a good job of it. The score should very slightly swing into their favor right now. But now I think it's where it's going to get difficult. Optic's one of the best teams at snowballing points in hardpoint. They need to make sure, or Panda needs to make sure that they don't let this get out of hand too quickly.
Well, Panda's trying to make sure that doesn't happen through Fastball. He picked up a couple in a row there, sitting at 7-6, but all of a sudden you see it's just Pimby, the lone man trying to rotate across Skybridge, and Karma not allowing it there as he locks it down. And as we sit in hangar, it is all going to be green wall. Crim6 drops, but he was kind of trying to push out the spawns there. His death not going to be huge. But now as they begin to throw away a few lives, it's all going to be on Formal and Crim6 inside to try and hold this off.
Romo has a very tough situation. Fastball able to take him out, and what a good pinch from Panda. They took their time to go around the back, and Karma actually made a pretty huge mistake there, in my opinion. He was up towards that middle alley. You saw him get taken out towards the middle of the map. He needs to focus on the back first to retain those back spawns.
And you can see the back spawn still coming in for Panda, but with 15 seconds left, it looked like Optic has gotten the break. This one ends up being pretty back and forth, really 3 different periods of control as we're going to end up rotating out to our 4th hard point. You can see the 2 green arrows, now 3rd popping on the bottom of the mini-map. map. They're going to be set up very nicely for Drill. Let's see if they can hold it a little bit longer than these last 2 hard points.
Yeah, although I thought Panda played that hill a bit better, Optic able to get most of that time. The Scarabs are coming out to push up those lanes for Optic Gaming. I think they had 2 in their arsenal to begin with. Formal gets traded out towards this back blue area, and it seems like another pinch coming in. The Optic players are forced out of the hill again. Profizi with a huge 2. Krim trying to do his best to buy time for his teammates, but there it is again. The pinch is coming in from Panda. They're playing these breaks so much better.
Yeah.
There's 30 seconds left, but the problem is now is winning these gunfights to hold all the time.
Well, really, it's been Optic with the early rotations, the early setup, and then looking at that 20 or 30 second mark into the hard point is where Panda's been able to find the breaks. It's just been whether or not they can hold off that remainder of the time. And in a couple of these they haven't. And that's where you see the separation really creating this 20-point lead for Optic, which they basically opened the game with on that first bridge hard point, which we're going to get to in another 10 seconds or so. But Scump now 75 off of his bombardment. He's 14-9 on a 5 streak. We'll see if he'll be able to close this out here as he just has to find one more. Waiting to play it patiently. That should be it, but that's the errata fastball, shutting down the full streak from Scump.
Able to get 2 of those 4 streaks, though, so should be able to put those to use. Probably going to wait them for a little bit later on in the game. Pemby doing a great job of locking down this hill. Taking a quick look at that scoreboard in the top right, Scump and Formal, the 2 names you're used to seeing on the top of the slaying category for these guys on Optic. Just doing absolute work right now, and it's why they have a slight lead. Panda is playing this better than I expected, though. After the first rotation, and if you told me that Panda's going to be within 10 points, I probably wouldn't believe it.
Well, I'm curious on your opinion here, former professional player. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. When you look at it right now, is this something Panda's doing right, or can you put it on Karma a bit right now? Because one of the stats that stood out the biggest for them was the fact that they all were between like a 1-2 and 1-5 kind of in KD for hardpoint. He starts out a little bit slow. Yeah, of course now he's on a 3 streak mid-conversation, but he was 4-13 just a minute ago. He's just turning it on.
Interesting to look at already as well. He only has 21 confrontations in this one, so playing very, very slow. Seems like he's just trying to play these corners and just put himself in advantageous situations, but sometimes you just need to amp up the pressure with your teammates. So it might be holding them back a bit, but I think it's more due to the setup pinches that Panda is doing to break. But Formal answers back again. Pinch all you want. You get mown down.
And he might have been the MVP yesterday. Just if you looked at it statistically, the man played out of his mind. Triples like that to open the game and also open the turbine hardpoint will be big, but let's see if they can retain control. Formal already back in the action, able to pick up fastball. He's set up nicely here. He has overdrive and a scarab to work with. Pushes the edge. That's Pemby getting the break. But this has been a much more controlled hold for Optic because, well, actually, they broke it at, the 30-second mark or so last time. Now it's about the 20-second mark, so they still extend the lead a bit, but Panda at least going to get the final 20 or so.
Optic just doing a very good job of not letting Panda get all the time. They get in and contest for the majority of the hill, so Optic, again, just barely edging out a lead each time one of these hard points pops. Seems like Panda has the better spawns. They're flooding up towards hallway right now. Optic setting up a pinch at the back, and it's all to fastball at this point, but this is where the ERAT is going to completely take over. Trade's going down again, and this is where Karma sort of messed up on that other rotation, right? He was pushed out so far, whereas fastball was just posted up at that back door, able to trade those kills in.
And this has been an impressive rotation from Panda because not only did they get the scrap time, but they got the opening 15 to 20 seconds here on the rotation, but due to Karma's break, it is now going to be Optic Gaming set up at back hammer. The FTL jump comes through, trying to locate him in the corner, able to get it, but one more there to trade it out. Thankfully, he's got his trusty teammates in behind, and that's going to be all 4 down there for Panda. But despite that, only trailing by 20 or so points. Still plenty of time left to go in the game, and they've done a good job of just keeping themselves in fighting distance, right? Never have been out of this. It's all going to come down to the clutch and the closing moments of this one.
So, Panda going to get the last 10 seconds or so of this scrap. They got an unfortunate split spawn there on the last half of that hill, so not much they could really do. We're going back over towards Drill, though. They seem to have initial control last time. It seems like Fastball has his payload ability to work with as well. Formal has the Scarab to work with, so back and forth battles once again. Seems like Panda gets the initial 3 kills. There they go. They should be able to take the lead. 45 seconds left here on Drill, and realistically, with how far Optic is spawning out, you can see that on your minimap right now. It should be an easy 10 to 15 seconds before the contest even comes in. It
really should. Pemby, though, he was on a 5 streak. He was really a big part of why they were able to break in there. As he drops, we'll see if they can retain control. Coming back in with camo is going to be Fastball. Finds one around the edge, though. Can't connect with the hip fire there from the ERAB, but Prophet able to back him up with the 2-piece before Karma will shut it down. But just like that, you see the time going in Panda's favor. They got a 15-point edge. They're looking to shut down Optic. And you got to think, man, like I heard quoted, they're saying they're a little bit more vulnerable now. People think they can beat Optic. They don't see them as that invincible final boss anymore.
I believe Scump was 15-7. Look at his score now, 18-20. The last couple of hard points have not been very nice to him. The rotation back towards middle is going to happen again. You see Panda stacking up 3 on that left back alley, trying to get those gunfights in towards middle. One player is in a 1v2 right now. Formal has some help, and he's just lighting up the scoreboard single-handedly, sort of carrying Optic in the slaying category right now. 32 and 18 for him, and getting a lot of time. You see him get so many defends, an average of 5 per hard point, doing it once again.
He's the only one positive right now. He's plus 13. Everybody else in Optic Gaming is negative, trying to put the team on his back in the slaying department now. But this is going to come down to the stretch. We should see another lead change momentarily here as Panda has bridge lockdown. Pimby trying to hit this wall run over the lava pits, try and flank in behind, works brilliantly, and there he's going to line up Crim 6. There's one more in front, Pimby finding 2. He's got Centurion to work with. He's got the Scarab as well. And how many lead changes are we going to have in this? Like, if they take it over yet again, this has got to be our 5th or 6th. And now for Turbine, you're going to have this set up with Centurion. You've got a good chance to pick up a lot of points here. Yeah, I mean, you can close out the game, really.
They should win this for sure. The Scarab going out to scout out information, able to pop 1, should slow them down for just a bit at that right alley. You see one player going in that top lab area, though, but all players wiped out.
That was Camo.
Formal, the last player alive, he's taken out as well. So another 4 dead. Panda taking a very good lead here in the last hill, which they should be able to hold it. Optic trying to do their best to win these gunfights, but no, Fastball is pushing out, has something to say about it, and Scump's the last one alive. Can he win this gunfight? Doesn't look like it's going to happen. No, he does. They break in somehow. Panda cannot let that happen.
Wow.
Optic's going to get this last 30.
It's the reactive armor. They had to use everything, basically. Your camo, your reactive. Try to get in past that Centurion. He goes up over the top and is able to make the play, and it's going to keep them alive. 7-point game coming down to the wire. Karma's going to fall. Formal tries to back it up, able to find 1, but not the second. This one has been a very hotly contested hardpoint. I don't think what either of us expected to kick off day 2.
Man, payload abilities coming in. Optic's just going to give up that scrap time. 5 seconds going to get them up to about 244. Optic cannot get broke one time, but already coming in for Feezy and Pemby. Fastball answers in with the trade. Karma's going to be the last one alive to try and hold this down. He's got to get it now. No, he doesn't. Panda takes map 1. What?
I don't know, man. We know how good they can be in S&D talking to the other pro players. So this all of a sudden became a very, very interesting series. The Green Wall shocked in game 1. And I know, guys, again, we understand this does not mean a lot for Optic, right? They're in good position to take the group, especially with the win over Splice, if that comes down to some sort of head-to-head if Splice gets the win. They're both sitting at 3-1. But this is huge for Panda because they can disrupt here. It becomes scary for Splice, really.
Realistically, Panda would probably be fighting for at least the number 2 spot in the group.
Yeah.
Coming down to these head-to-head situations.
I love that. I love that. There's an actual Panda here.
You got to think, though, if they come out and beat Optic in their first game in pool, they were going to be confident enough to maybe win all the games. Look at that Panda.
I love that. Oh, well,
I'm hyped.
I don't think Damon loves it, but Karma there trying to get set up here for the game 2. And again, we mentioned it a couple times, but you heard multiple players talking about the fact that they are maybe the best AM team in Search and Destroy when you're talking about their performances in 2Ks. Now, I know that Optic has been much better in Search here this year, but last year, it was the bane of their existence.